Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man for a special video for me tonight, in that I love this film franchise. I have done for many years. I kind of feel a bit like I grew up with it. I remember seeing Aliens when I was only about 10 or 11 years old, and that film has obviously stayed with me ever since. And I've enjoyed many of the other films as well. I am going to be ranking these films from my least favourite to my favourite, and I'm throwing in both the Aliens vs Predator films as well as the two recent prequels we've had, which were of course Prometheus and Covenant more recently. So without further ado, I'm going to start with my least favourite film in this list, and that is AVP2 Requiem from 2007. So one of the Alien vs Predator films. Obviously this was the sequel. I think this film just lacked much in the way of character or characters, or interesting characters even. It felt like it was totally focused on the aliens and predators, so if you just wanted to see some cool action sequences, then okay, this film does have some of those. It also has an interesting hybrid of the predator and the alien. But that aside, the film lacks much else, certainly hasn't got much substance to it. The story is lacking considerably. As I say, the characters are wooden, plain, uninteresting, and so it doesn't create much of an investment in the film itself. AVP2 Requiem therefore comes in as my least favourite from the Alien franchise. Next up is the first Alien vs Predator film, which I see as something as a guilty pleasure. I can watch this film and quite enjoy it at almost a service level. It suffers from a lot of the problems I think as AVP2 does, but saying that, I think the cast and characters are slightly better here. There's a little bit more going for it from that point of view. I like some of the ideas within the temple and the really cool sequences we see when the aliens and the predators first meet up. And yeah, there's some cool scenes, and I slightly therefore prefer this film to its successor, to AVP2. So, bottom two, was that predictable for you? Apologies if it was, but I thought I'd throw those two films in anyway, just to make the video that bit longer. So coming up next, my number 6 is Alien Covenant, which is the most recent entry into the Alien franchise. And I have somewhat mixed feelings about this film. There are parts of it I thought were fantastic, actually. Some parts of Alien Covenant were really, really good. Other parts of it I really didn't enjoy, or just found a bit strange. The whole David and Walter thing I found a little bit weird. Although I like Michael Fassbender's portrayal of these characters, what was going on with these two in this film I found a little bit strange at times. There were, however, the odd good twist here, some fantastic action sequences, but a lot of recycling of old ideas in this film. It didn't feel like a sequel so much to Prometheus, as like it was still kind of, there were some attempts to go back more to more of the original films, but I didn't feel like it was as good. And just for me, because it wasn't particularly, I think it was less brave than Prometheus. It comes in here at number 6 in my opinion. As I say, some great moments, in particular between about the 30-minute mark and the hour mark of this film. There's some really chaotic scenes that I think are really well done, and some of the best Alien moments in perhaps the whole franchise. Maybe that's a stretch, but I really enjoyed those scenes personally. And so that is Alien Covenant at number 6. Now, number 5 is Prometheus, which is the first of the two prequels we've had in the last 10 years now. Prometheus was like, it was just trying to expand the Alien universe a bit, and I think it somewhat succeeded in doing that, and also giving the audience something a bit different that they hadn't seen from the Alien franchise before. I quite liked its ambition. It felt at times a little bit long and a little bit stale, but at the same time there were a couple of standout scenes which made this film, I think, that bit better than Covenant. It had that little bit more of an original idea behind it and felt less like a recycling of another Alien film. At the same time, this film comes middle of my list, or slightly lower down, perhaps per the fact I really didn't like the CGI here that was at play. Made it feel a bit like a Marvel film. I want my Alien films to feel darker, grittier, more like they are just that bit more sort of almost maybe claustrophobic a bit more. And this film just didn't feel like an Alien film, but I respect it. I think it's still a pretty good film for, good actors, obviously big budget. Um, but it felt like maybe it was overreaching a little bit at times. And for me, it comes in there for number 5 on my list. But as I say, not a bad film. And if you really enjoy Prometheus, I wouldn't necessarily disagree that it's not an enjoyable film. I think it is an enjoyable one. Coming in next at number 4 is Alien Resurrection. I and if the reason this is above Prometheus, I think this might be controversial that I put this above Prometheus. I've got a feeling that might get some anger from some corners, maybe of the Alien fan club. If I had to choose now between what would you rather watch, Prometheus or Resurrection, I'd say Resurrection. Resurrection has so many great scenes in it for me, and there's a couple in particular which really stand out as two of the best scenes I think I've seen in the Alien franchise. The one underwater scene leading to the ladder scene, and those are amazing sequences, really well directed, great moments within them, and they're so good. They push this film above Prometheus for me because those scenes are so good. And I quite like the characters in this film. Don't really like the ending of Resurrection much, but that aside, I quite like it. I think it's entertaining. I think it's got really good, like I say, lots of good moments, lots to hook you into the film. Enjoy, it's engaging. I know it's kind of the follow-up to Alien 3, and I know a lot of people don't like the initial premise, which is a bit far-fetched, of course, but that aside, Alien Resurrection, I think it's a pretty cool film, and I prefer it to Prometheus. Apologies, sort of. And next on my list, coming up at number 3 spot, perhaps this is getting predictable now, but this is Alien 3. Alien 3, I think, is a good film. I think this is actually a decent film as well. I think it gets, even though a lot of people hate the start of this film, I think it's unfair to sort of colour the rest of the film with how it starts, because I think the majority of this film is actually very, very good. I know David Fincher himself has said he hates this film, so even the director hates it, but for some reason it works for me. This film works for me. I think it's got a good feel of an Alien film. It does something different. It does not anything like its two predecessors. It pits the humans against the aliens in a totally different environment, in a different way, in a way which we're not sort of expecting before we see the film. And I think it's an interesting enough idea that keeps you wanting to watch, to see what happens next, to see how on earth are they going to deal with the aliens in this environment. I think it's got a great score as well, a really dramatic finish, which I enjoy. Great score as in a really good musical score. I love good themes to my films. That may have a bearing somewhat even on my choice of putting it up here, because I don't think you can underestimate sometimes if it's got a good score, it can have a good impact on the film. Love Alien 3, therefore. All those reasons, good acting, good score, good directing, I think personally, and an original kind of way of pitting the aliens against the humans. So Alien 3 comes in at number 3. Hate me for it all you want. I'm not going to change it from here. I really like Alien 3. And so my next two choices, the top 2. Now these are obvious. I think these are obvious choices as well. I mean, who wouldn't have these two films in their top 2? Probably the vast majority of the population that have seen the Alien films would put these original 2 films in their top 2. They're iconic. Both are iconic almost equally. They're just different stylistically. Aliens, this feels more like an action kind of a film, whereas Alien, the original, is more like a horror, with lots of horror scenes within it. And I think that it's really difficult to sort of decide on which of these 2 would be my favourite. In a way, Aliens is the easier watch just to stick on and just to thoroughly enjoy it, but I have so much respect for the original film. As iconic as Aliens is, and Aliens is therefore my number 2. Aliens has so many great quotes within it as well. It's always a sign of a film which is very popular when you can quote so many different quotes from one film. Aliens has tons of them. Also has great, exciting scenes. I think some of the best scenes that you will see in any of the Alien films. Undoubtedly, good characters. Big fan of lots of the characters in this film. You know, Hudson, Hicks, Apone, Vasquez. They're all fantastic. There's so many fantastic characters in this film. I think this is one of the things that's the real appeal of Aliens, is that it has a great cast and great characters. One of the things that for me helps to make it so iconic is that cast and that all those characters so well blend together and pull off this amazing film. Well directed, as I say, it's great as an action flick. It's just an amazing, addicting, thoroughly engaging. Once you start to watch the film, you can't take your eyes off it, even after watching it. For me, however many times I've watched it, 100 odd times, still has that same effect on me. I still love the film. That means obviously Alien is number one, as I was alluding to earlier. It's just kind of like just an all-time classic film, so iconic, has one of the biggest iconic moments that you can think of in an Alien movie. It's in every way suspenseful. You never quite know what's going to happen next to these guys. Again, like the second film, I think the characters and the casting is so good here. But the idea here at this point, the concept, all original. No one had done anything, I think, quite as good as this. It delivered in this way, directed in this way by Ridley Scott, and therefore it gets my top spot, even above a film which I absolutely adore. And I would say Aliens, as a sequel, one of the all-time best sequels, undoubtedly, but Alien makes my top spot. Well, that's it. I'm afraid that's me at the end of my list. Was it too predictable for you? How would you rank these Alien films yourself? Feel free to drop those in the comments. As always like to say, do feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Otherwise, I hope, as I say, you enjoyed the video, and maybe I'll see you again another time. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your evenings. Bye.